Today I will be recapping the Season 2 of The Blood of Zeus. The show begins with Hades, who expresses his pain of being betrayed by his family, the gods. Zeus and his wife Hera made a fool out of him, but for the sake of peace, he stood by and did nothing. He was banished to the underworld, but he tells his wife, Persephone, that all of these must end today. There is a war going on between the gods, and why? Because Zeus cheated on his wife Hera, the god of marriage. The human woman he married gave birth to Heron, a half-human and half-god. In order to defeat Zeus and few other gods who supported him, Hera did not only turn almost all of Zeus's children against him, but also sided with the giants, which has been led by Seraphim to take over Olympus. With the war going on among the gods, Hades believes it to be a perfect opportunity for him to act. He wants to retrieve the great Eleusinian stone from Zeus's temple, which can give him so much power to take over the thrones of Olympus. He sends his masked shadow servants to retrieve the stone. Meanwhile, while the battle between the gods is still ongoing, Zeus tells his human son Heron that it is time for him to summon his powers to show the world who he really is. Just as Heron goes to the battlefield, Zeus summons his sister Hestia for a special duty. He gives her his ring, instructing her to go to his temple and retrieve the Eleusinian stone. After that, she has to take it to Gaia, who will know what to do with it. While she leaves, he orders Athena to assist her. Meanwhile, the shadow servants makes their way inside Zeus's temple, but of course, they got themselves into traps where statues comes to life and starts attacking them. Luckily, they escape the trap, but when they reach the gate where the Eleusinian stone is kept, they realize that only someone being sent by Zeus himself can enter the gate. They all suddenly went into hiding after seeing Hestia going inside the temple. Since they can't go inside the gate, their plan is to wait for Hestia to bring the stone out, then they will attack her to take the stone. Hestia arrives at the gate, and just as the gatekeeper saw that it was Zeus who sent her, she allowed her to pass through. The stone was very much powerful for her to touch with her bare hands, so she wraps a clothing around it. Just as Athena escorts Hestia out of the temple to a place Zeus asked them to take the stone to, the shadow servants attacks them. Hestia fights back using her fire power while Athena served as defense. They manage to run far away, but the shadow servants haven't ran out of ideas yet. They meet the creatures called the Keres, the eaters of the dead, and sends them to retrieve the stone from Hestia. After days of fighting, the war among the gods ends in tragedy as Zeus lost his life after summoning all his powers to kill the giants. Hestia, who is so heartbroken witnessing the loss, taps from the power of the stone, which double her power so much that she killed the Keres with a massive blast. She retrieves back the stone and continues the mission Zeus sent her. The shadow servants tells Hades of their failed mission. Meanwhile, Heron out of anger summons his powers, which he used to fight Seraphim, the demon king. With no other choice, Heron had to stab himself to impale the heart of Seraphim. After the battle ended, Athena sees Heron's body on the ground and instructs Hermes, the god of speed, to quickly take him back to Olympus. Athena is shocked by the lightning Heron called down in the battle. Could he really be the one that was prophesied? While Hermes carries the body of Heron, a mysterious deity gives him life again and appreciates him for doing so well in the battle. Even though the battle has been won, war still looks on the horizon. The deity tells Heron to retrieve his father's sword to go save his brother. Meanwhile, Hestia finally arrived at the place where Zeus instructed her to go. She gives the stone to Gaia, who decided to do as Zeus wishes by preparing his son for what awaits. Hades is so angry and frustrated that Hestia has given the stone to Gaia, who will then place it in the hidden realm where no one will find it. Persephone tells Hades not to worry, instilling hope of finding the stone. Persephone suddenly gets an idea after looking at a drawing. Realizing that Seraphim, who has a giant blood in his system, can gain access to the hidden realm, they decided to use him. Heron feels bad for killing Seraphim, his half-brother, but Alexia tells him that he got what he deserves for killing his mother. But to Heron, although Seraphim was evil, he was actually right about one thing, which is the gods are more flawed than they are. Why should the humans listen to them? Seraphim wakes up to find himself in the underworld after being killed by Heron. There is eternal judgment awaiting him for all his evil deeds on earth, but Hades appears and tells him that only if he kneel before him, will he help him escape the judgment. Instead of trusting anyone else again, Seraphim chooses to face judgment. He is taken to a realm to where all the dead kings are. They are people who pass judgment according to the crimes a person commits on earth. After stating his crimes, which has to do with thousands of people he has killed on earth, they ask him to repent and they may show mercy, but he refuses, insisting to face his judgment. As a punishment for his evil deeds, the kings decides to send him to Tartarus, where he will suffer for eternity. Since Seraphim has refused Hades' offer, his chance of claiming the throne in heaven is reducing. But what's worse is him and his wife Persephone will have to part ways again because winter has arrived. But why does she have to path ways with Hades? We will find out about this later. Their kids Zagreus and Meli tears up to see their mother leave to Olympus. Hades, who couldn't bear seeing all these, decides to go to the underworld to try and persuade Seraphim again. There we see people who are facing judgment according to their crimes on earth. And we see Seraphim whose judgment is a snake venom pouring on his eyes every seconds. Hades doesn't blame Seraphim for not trusting him, but he tries to make Seraphim understand that he is not like the other gods. In fact, he has always tried to help him. He was the one who whispered to him to eat the giant remains, which did not only save him from his fatal injury, but also made him more stronger. Hades then tells Seraphim a story. When the last Titan was killed, its blood struck the sea, giving birth to the giants. The gods defeated the giants, not knowing that there is another evil underground growing more powerful day by day. One day, the beast awakens and the gods found it impossible to kill it, because it was elemental. They had to call the witch from the east to cast a spell to imprison it, but she warns them never to call the beast's name or it will awaken again. The witch took the power from the beast and placed it inside a diamond called the Eleusinian stone. Out of greed, Zeus taps the power from the stone, which made Hera and Zeus the leader of the heavens, but as for Hades, he was kicked to the underworld. To cut the long story short, Hades begs Seraphim to help him get the stone from the hidden realm, a realm only Seraphim can enter because he has the giant blood on his system. But Seraphim replies that he would rather suffer in hell for eternity, than be a pawn again. On the other hand, Hera meet a god blacksmith and ask him if he has any way to find the sword Zeus forged for him. The blacksmith gives him a compass that will lead him to where the sword is. During their conversation, a large sound gets their attention. All gods and monsters shows up at Olympus to confirm the thunderous demise of Zeus, while some of them are here for his burial ceremony. Hera asks how is it possible for Zeus to die? Or aren't the gods immortal? As an answer to his question, the god blacksmith replies that the gods don't die the way humans do, but they are judged nothingness. Anyway, only after a ceremony will Zeus be able to journey to the underworld. Hades is still not giving up on convincing Seraphim to join him. He frees Seraphim on his hell torment, and asks him to take a walk with him. Hades takes Seraphim to the Lethe River, a river whose waters can erase all memories and pain from one sip. He has always contemplated on drinking the water, but what will become of his wife and children? Drinking its waters won't solve anything. That happiness he wants for himself and family is what he has to work for, and assures Seraphim that he could also experience same happiness. Seraphim appears to have lost a girl who is really dear to him, but Hades assures that he still have a chance of meeting her again. It was here that Hades decided to tell a story on how he met that one thing that made him experience happiness for the first time. Being in the underworld has been an unbearable place for him because of the screams of pain he hears every day. Unable to withstand the suffering in the underworld, he decides to take the risk and leave. But he can't stay away from the underworld for too long because an overwhelming pain will start tormenting him. Just one day when he went out of the underworld, he saw Persephone for the first time. He fell in love with her at first sight, that no amount of pain from not returning to the underworld could keep him away from her. Hades knows that her mother Demeter would never approve of him, but he doesn't care because seeing someone like Persephone was like a chance for him to gain happiness. To win her heart, Hades raises Persephone Pegasus from the dead. He knows showing himself in front of her might bring problems, so he found a way of talking to her without showing himself. Persephone, who has never seen him, fell in love because Hades is actually the only man who listens and understands her, unlike her mother Demeter, who has been forcing her to choose suitors she isn't interested in to marry, and among all the suitors is Ares, whom she hates the most because he is so full of himself. Just one day when Ares tries to force Persephone to get married to him, Hades had no choice but to reveal himself to defend her. Ares was no match for Hades' power and runs away. Persephone is glad that Hades finally revealed himself to her and kisses him. She decided to finally make a choice of her own instead of her mother's, by getting married to Hades, the first god she has ever loved. One night, Hades stops her from eating the food of the dead because if she does so, she will be bound to the underworld like him. But when her mother Demeter shows up and tries to force Persephone to return back, not accepting her love for Hades, she decides to eat the food of the dead to bind herself to the underworld, so nothing will ever stop her and Hades from being together. But her mother couldn't accept this and brought out a lie of Hades kidnapping her to the heavens. Persephone's mother anger didn't stop there as she brought desolation to the fields of earth, demanding for Persephone return. To appease her, Zeus decided that since Persephone ate 6 seeds of the dead, she will spend 6 moons with Hades and the other 6 with her mother Demeter. That's why after every 6 moons, Persephone normally leave Hades and her kids to go spend with her mother upon Zeus's command. This is why he needs the stone to gain much power to stop his wife from leaving them every 6 months. He tells Seraphim that they both have the same fate. The same way Hades was in love was the same way Seraphim was in love. Back then when Seraphim was human, he was brutally injured, but a priestess found him and saved his life. He fell in love with her and the priestess was going to abandon her vows so she can live happily with him, but Seraphim's quest for revenge ruined it all. Just 2 days when they were set to run away together, Seraphim saw the man who killed the mother that adopted him. Never let hatred turn you to the very thing you set out to destroy. The priestess begged Seraphim to run away with her and let go of the past, but he didn't heed her word. He broke his promise to struck out seeking revenge, and we all know what happened next, as Seraphim couldn't stop killing, until fate led him into becoming a demon. While as for the priestess, she died after Seraphim didn't meet her the night they were supposed to run away. This talk is finally able to convince Seraphim, who finally agrees to help Hades retrieve the stone from the hidden realm, but in return, Hades must help the priestess, his lover, to leave the underworld. During Heron's sleep, some deities appears in front of him to inform him about a deadly fate about to befall him. The death before him cannot be stopped, but if he acts swiftly, there is a small chance that he will be able to turn the nightmare into a blessing. On the other hand, since Seraphim agreed to join Hades, Hades gives him a portion of disguise which turns him to a human, but his demon strength hasn't left him. With this disguise, he can easily go to the hidden realm and take the stone without being noticed. At Olympus, Hermes begins to inform the gods that Poseidon has ordered a truce among them because he wants all immortals to pay their respect to the fallen together. But we find out that Ares is rallying some gods to his cause, telling them that he should take Zeus's place on top the throne. Heron friends notices he's really worried, but instead of him telling them what's wrong, he announces that he will be leaving after paying his respect to the dead. Artemis explains to Heron that when a god dies, they celebrate it with games to honor their life and bury their grief. The winner of the game will be awarded with a price, the ring of their father, Zeus. And one that wears the ring is only a step closer to the throne. Heron isn't interested in competing in the game, but when Ares shows up and makes mockery of him, calling his mother a prostitute, he decided to join the game to compete against Ares. In the first challenge, Ares wins Heron in spear throwing. Hades shows up at Olympus to watch the game, and to also inform Persephone about how Seraphim has agreed to help them. Heron ends up drawing with Ares in all challenges of the competition, but there is still one more remaining, which is the Pygmatia Arena, where Heron will fight with Ares on a one-on-one combat. Ares beats the life out of Heron and did not only keep insulting his dead mother but also tells Heron to beg for his life. Heron out of anger summons his thunder power and punches blood out of Ares' mouth, which shocks all the gods. Ares still manages to beat Heron after a long struggle, but just as he tries to kill him, Hera surprisingly shows up and stops the fight. Some of the gods don't want her around because it's her actions that caused Zeus's death. She begs them not to fight, as now is the time to pay their respect to the dead. That's her purpose of coming here, seeing it as a way to redeem herself and as a punishment for her actions. She will banish herself for 1,000 years. This still doesn't resolve the fight against the gods until Gaia, the mother of the Titans and the great Earth Titans, shows up. She tells the gods to allow Hera to pay her respect to Zeus, and after that, she should banish herself as she said. She instructs that the mourning of Zeus and the fallen must happen for 3 days, and during these days, no god must take up arms against the other. But after 3 days, a challenge will be offered. A challenge where everyone will be welcome to compete for the crown, and that the most worthy will be giving the Eleusinian stone, which will merit him or her the next ruler of the heavens. All these, she said, is not just her will alone but the will of Zeus. During the burial ceremony, Zeus appears before all the gods. He offers Heron his ring to wear as he is the one that deserves it the most, but Heron refuses to accept the ring because he is not interested in the throne. Zeus tells him it's not about the throne, but the ring will help lead him to the path he must follow. Before Zeus begins his journey to the underworld, he concludes to all his children, the gods, to honor him by ending the conflict among themselves. Heron decided to tell his friends what Gaia told him. That he should find the sword Zeus forged for him and use it to save his half-brother Seraphim. After Zeus reaches the underworld, he decided to go see someone first before he faces his judgment, and that person is Heron's mother. Meanwhile, Heron and his friends goes to find the sword Zeus forged for him. Zeus is brought before the kings to stand judgment. The king stated all the heroic things Zeus did on earth, but unfortunately, his wrongdoings weighs more than his good deeds. Hades exposes Zeus and Hera's secrets to the other gods. The Eleusinian stone never chose Zeus to wield its powers, but Hera was the one who used magic to make it seem like it chose Zeus. Hera tries to defend Zeus, saying Zeus used that power for a greater good by ending the impossible earth problems. After Zeus agrees to repent, the kings decided to pass judgment of him. His only hope of living in a better place in the underworld lies with those who are left in the world above. If they honor him and perform good deeds in his name, he can live without suffering in the underworld. But until then, Zeus will be sent to Tartarus to face punishment. Heron and his friends on their way to find the sword seize some dead bodies. Hermes shows up and tells them they were attacked by Keres. These are creatures that only feeds on the dead, but ever since Zeus died, Many of the creatures kept in line have started to run free. The Karens now feeds on the living. While Seraphim is on his way to the hidden realm, he pauses his mission of a while to do something he should have done a long time. We see a gigantic beast cooking a human flesh and Seraphim suddenly appears in front of it. He came for revenge because the gigantic beast was the one who killed his wife-to-be. They both begin to fight, but in matter of minutes, Seraphim kills the beast. Due to the injury he sustained from the fight, he falls into the forest unconscious. Meanwhile, Persephone's mother Demeter appears before Hades and tells him she knows about his plan to steal the Eleusinian stone and take the throne. If she informs the other gods, Hades will be in big trouble, but she offers him a condition to side with him, which is they must all rule the heavens together after taking the stone. Heron and his friends find Seraphim during their journey. But they don't know he's the one because of his human form. Heron uses his thunder power to heal his wounds. Seraphim wakes up realizing it was Heron who saved his life. He watches them pay respect to their loved ones. When Heron asked who he is, he lies about his name and also lies that he was on his way here to pay respect to someone he used to love. Heron and his friends help Seraphim find the grave of the priestess. After a few chat, Seraphim goes away. Later on, Iris, a messenger of the primordial gods, appears before Heron to offer him an invitation for the competition for the throne in heaven. A gigantic metal creature suddenly attacks them from nowhere. While fighting the creature, Alexia enters the creature's eyes, and inside the belly of it is the sword they have been looking for, forged by Zeus. With the sword, they subdued the creature with one strike. They met the Amazonian leader who made Heron realize that the person they saved back then was Seraphim. They find out about Seraphim's mission to do Hades' bidding, and according to Heron, he believes Hades wants what every other gods would want, which is power. So he knows Hades is after the Eleusinian stone. They decided to go after Seraphim to prevent him from obtaining the stone. Seraphim, after deceiving the guards, finally gain access to the hidden realm. Heron and his friends also arrives at the gates of the hidden world, and thanks to the ring Zeus gave him, he is also able to gain access to the hidden realm. Heron, after finding the stone, blocks Seraphim from retrieving it. Seraphim threaten that if he tries to stop him he will kill him. All he cares right now is to do what Hades asks of him so he can bring back his lover from the underworld. Hades and his armies suddenly shows up to collect the stone, but the other gods also shows up and threatens him to stop, as they have Persephone in their captivity and will kill her if he doesn't return back. Smartly, Hades saves Persephone from the gods' captives and battles them to get the stone. While another battle begins among the gods to take the stone, Heron, after a long struggle, takes possession of it. With its power, he stops the war among the gods and orders them to unite with one another. He asks that everything should return the way they are for the balance of the world. The gods must go back to Olympus, Poseidon to the seas, and Hades back to the underworld. Hades knows that returning to the underworld will keep him apart from Persephone, so he decides to do the most despicable thing ever. He kills Heron and takes the stone away from him. Gaia, who is fed up by the gods' unending evil, decided to put an end to their reign. She summons Typhon into the world to kill them, and that was how the episode ended. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.